the twin suns of the colony world of Ares burned across the sky, throwing long shadows on the metal walls of the settlement. Inside the colony, people moved with purpose. They wore plain gray uniforms and followed strict paths marked on the ground. Every action was measured. Every task was assigned. The Council of Elders had planned it that way. Order was survival. Rules were safety. Anyone who broke from the rules was seen as a threat. Myra walked through the streets with her head slightly bowed. She had lived in the colony since she was a child, yet she still felt like a stranger. She had no family name that carried weight. She had no seat in the council. The only thing she had was her curiosity, and that was the one thing the leaders disliked most. Myra loved machines. She could take apart a broken water filter and put it back together in an hour. She could listen to static signals from the stars and find strange patterns hidden inside. She could see details others ignored. Yet each time she offered her skills, the council shook their heads. They told her the colony did not need dreamers. It needed workers who followed orders. That morning, Myra had tried again. She had stood in the long hall of the council with a small device in her hands. It was a simple transmitter she had built from scraps. She believed it could extend the range of their scanners by hundreds of kilometers. It could help them find resources or warn them of dangers. She had spoken with excitement, her voice carrying through the chamber. But the elders sat in silence. One of them, a tall man named Darwin, rose to his feet and glared at her. He told her the colony had no use for untested machines. He said they had already wasted too much time on her ideas. He ordered the guards to take the device away. The hall doors closed in her face, and laughter followed her as she walked out. She felt the weight of rejection heavy on her chest. She had tried many times, and each time ended the same. Every door was shut. Every voice told her no. She was unwanted, untrusted, and unseen. Still, inside her heart, a flame refused to die. Myra left the colony walls and climbed the rocky ridge that overlooked the settlement. From there, she could see the barren land stretch endlessly. The twin suns burned hot, and the wind carried red dust across the ground. The colony was small compared to the vast world around it. Beyond the walls, there were secrets waiting to be found. She believed it. She always had. She sat down with her small radio receiver, a box of wires and blinking lights she had built in secret. She turned the dial slowly, listening to the hiss of static. The people inside the walls thought the stars were empty. They thought only humans existed. But Myra knew better. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, she caught faint whispers among the noise. Strange rhythms. Patterns too complex to be natural. Tonight, she hoped to hear them again. The sun dipped low, and the second star followed. Night came quickly, bringing cold air that bit her skin. Myra pulled her jacket close and leaned over the receiver. At first, there was only silence, then static, then a faint tone. She pressed her ear to the speaker. The tone grew stronger. It shifted into pulses, sharp and clear. Myra's eyes widened. She grabbed her notebook and began to copy the sequence. Long pulse, short pulse, pause, repeat. It was not random. It was a message. Her hands shook as she wrote. The signal carried urgency. It was not a human pattern. She felt her heart race. Someone out there was speaking. Someone needed help. She looked back at the colony walls in the distance. She knew the council would never believe her. They had ignored her before. They would call her foolish again. But she also knew this was too important to hide. If there truly was someone out there, it could change everything. Myra climbed down the ridge and returned to the settlement. The gates opened reluctantly as the guards recognized her. Inside, she walked with quick steps toward the hall once more. She rehearsed her words in her mind. She would not let them silence her. This time, she would make them listen. The hall was lit with cold blue lights. The elders sat in their chairs, speaking quietly among themselves. Myra stepped forward, holding her notebook close. She explained the signal she had found. She told them about the pulses, the rhythm, the clear signs of intelligence. Her voice was steady, but her heart pounded. When she finished, silence filled the chamber. Then Darwin spoke again. His voice was sharp. He said she was chasing illusions. He said the colony had no time for fairy tales. Another elder laughed and called her signal nothing more than broken static. A third ordered her to stop wasting resources. The guards stepped forward, and once again the doors were shut in her face. Myra stood outside in the dark street, her notebook still in her hands. She felt anger rise in her chest, mixed with sorrow. Every door closed. Every chance taken away. Yet as she looked up at the night sky, she made a silent promise. If no one else would listen, then she would listen alone. If no one else would act, then she would act alone. She clutched her notebook tightly. The message was clear. Someone out there needed help. And Myra was not the kind of person to walk away from a call for help. She did not know what she would face. She did not know how far she would have to go. But she knew one thing with certainty. Her story was only beginning. The next morning came with a pale red light spreading across the colony walls. People moved as they always did, silent and focused, walking in neat lines toward the work sites. Myra stood among them, but her mind was far away. The signal from last night echoed in her thoughts. The rhythm of the pulses still rang in her ears. She knew it was real. She knew it was more than just broken static. While the others went about their routine, Myra slipped away. She carried her notebook under her arm, hiding it beneath her jacket. She walked quickly to the small shed at the edge of the settlement, where she kept her private tools. The shed was old and nearly forgotten, used long ago for storing water pumps. Myra had turned it into her secret workshop. Inside, wires hung from the walls, parts of machines were stacked in corners, and her receiver sat on the desk waiting for her. She placed her notebook on the table and carefully connected new pieces to the device. She wanted to strengthen it so she could track the signal more clearly. Her hands moved fast, but her thoughts moved faster. If this was truly a distress call, then someone out there was alive and in danger. It could be travelers. It could be another colony. It could even be something no human had ever seen before. As the receiver powered up, Myra adjusted the dials. The static hiss filled the shed once more. She leaned closer, her ear pressed against the small speaker. Minutes passed, then the sound returned. The same rhythm as before. Long pulse, short pulse, pause, repeat. Her heart leapt. It had not been her imagination. This time she noticed something new. The sequence changed slightly after every fourth cycle. It was not only a signal. It was a language. Someone was trying to speak. She grabbed her notebook and wrote each change carefully. She did not fully understand it, but she recognized patterns. She had studied languages when she was younger, though most of her lessons had been dismissed by the council as unnecessary. Yet here, her skill had purpose. She whispered to herself as she worked, repeating the patterns until they became familiar. The hours passed quickly. By the time the suns were high, she had filled several pages with strange marks. She leaned back, tired but excited. She felt certain the signal was calling from somewhere not far from the colony. Her thoughts were broken when she heard footsteps outside the shed. She froze and quickly covered her notebook. The door creaked open, and a boy named Ryan stepped inside. He was young, about her age, with dark hair and quiet eyes. He worked in the farms but often wondered where he was not supposed to. "Myra, what are you doing here?" he asked, looking around at the wires and parts. Myra hesitated. She had kept her work secret for so long. She feared telling anyone. But something about Ryan's calm voice made her trust him. She lowered her voice and said, "I found something. A signal. I think it is from outside this world." Ryan's eyes widened. "You mean aliens?" "I do not know," Myra admitted. "But it is not natural. It is someone trying to speak. I want to find them." Ryan walked closer and studied the receiver. He was not a builder like her, but he respected curiosity. He did not laugh at her words. He did not call her foolish. Instead, he asked, "What if the council finds out?" "They will not believe me," Myra said firmly. "They will lock this place down. I cannot let that happen." Ryan was silent for a long moment, then nodded. "Then I will not say anything." Relief filled Myra's chest. It was the first time in many months that someone had not dismissed her. She smiled faintly. That evening, when the colony lights dimmed and people returned to their homes, Myra and Ryan returned to the ridge outside the walls. The air was cold, and the sky was filled with stars brighter than lamps. Myra set up her receiver and adjusted the antenna. Soon the pulses returned, stronger than before. Ryan listened beside her, his face tense with focus. "You are right," he whispered. "It is not random. It feels alive." Myra nodded. "They are close. Maybe within a few days of walking. I think they are stranded." She traced the direction of the signal on her map. It pointed toward a wide valley hidden beyond the rocky cliffs. No one from the colony traveled there. It was considered dangerous and unnecessary. But Myra's heart told her that was where the answers waited. Ryan looked at her map, then at her face. "Are you going there?" "Yes," Myra said without hesitation. "I cannot ignore it. If someone is calling for help, then I must answer." Ryan frowned. "It will be dangerous." "What if it is a trap?" "Then I will face it," she replied. "Better to try and fail than to let them die in silence." For a moment, Ryan studied her. Then he gave a slow nod. "Then I will go with you." Myra felt a mix of gratitude and worry. She had planned to go alone, but the thought of having someone by her side eased her fear. Together, they folded the map and packed their small bags with food and water. They would leave before the next sunrise. That night, Myra lay in her small sleeping space inside the colony, staring at the ceiling. The signal still echoed in her mind. She thought of the closed doors, the harsh voices of the council, the rejection she had felt again and again. But now she also thought of the stars above her and the unknown voices calling from the valley. She whispered softly to herself, "If no one listens, then I will listen. If no one acts, then I will act." As the colony slept, Myra's heart stayed awake, burning with purpose. Tomorrow she would step beyond the walls not as an outcast, but as a seeker. Tomorrow the journey would begin. The suns had not yet risen when Myra and Ryan slipped out of the colony gates. The guards did not question them. People often left early to tend to fields or to gather supplies, but the two carried more than tools. They carried small bags of food, water, and Myra's receiver packed carefully inside a cloth. Myra kept her notebook close to her chest. The land outside the colony was rough and dry. Red sand stretched as far as the eye could see, broken by sharp rocks and scattered plants that clung stubbornly to life. The wind whistled across the ground, leaving long trails of dust. Myra walked quickly, her eyes fixed on the map she had drawn the night before. Ryan followed silently, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. For hours they walked, their boots sinking into the sand. The heat rose quickly as the twin suns climbed higher. Myra's clothes clung to her skin, and sweat rolled down her neck, but she did not stop. The signal grew stronger with each step, and the rhythm of the pulses echoed in her mind like a heartbeat. By midday they reached the cliffs. The rocks towered above them, jagged and dark. The valley lay beyond. Myra studied the steep path that wound between the stones. She felt a rush of excitement and fear. This was the place the signal pointed toward. Somewhere inside that valley was the source. The climb was difficult. Ryan offered his hand when Myra slipped on loose stones. Dust filled their lungs, and sharp rocks scraped their arms. Still they pressed on, one step at a time, until at last the ground leveled out and the valley stretched before them. Myra gasped softly. The valley was wide and quiet, its floor covered with strange plants that glowed faintly in the shadows. But what caught her eye was the dark shape lying broken among the stones. It was not natural. It was not human. It was a ship. The vessel was long and narrow, made of a material that shimmered faintly even in the weak light. Parts of it were torn open, wires and beams jutting out like broken bones. Smoke rose faintly from the cracks, though the air was still. The ship had fallen hard. Ryan stared in silence. His mouth opened, but no words came. Myra stepped forward, her heart racing. Each step felt heavy, but also full of purpose. She had dreamed of proof like this all her life, and now it was before her eyes. As they drew closer, Myra heard a sound. A faint clicking, followed by a soft metallic hum. She stopped, listening carefully. It came from inside the broken ship. She glanced at Ryan, and he nodded. Together they moved closer, climbing over broken metal until they reached a gap wide enough to enter. Inside the ship, the air was cooler and heavy with strange scents. The walls glowed faintly, though many panels flickered and sparked. Myra's eyes adjusted quickly. She saw machines scattered across the floor, shattered and bent. She also saw movement. In the corner of the wreck, a figure struggled to rise. It was tall, its body thin and covered in a hard shell that gleamed faintly. Its arms were long, ending in sharp joints, and its face held two large black eyes that reflected the faint light. It was like nothing Myra had ever seen. Her breath caught. She had expected machines or signals, but not this. Not a living being. The figure clicked softly, its voice strange and quick. Myra could not understand, but she felt its tone. It was weak, desperate, afraid. Ryan stepped back, his hand tightening on a rock he had picked up. "It is alive," he whispered. "Yes," Myra said. Her voice shook. "It is alive, and it needs help." She slowly reached into her bag and pulled out her translator device. It was small, built from scraps, but she had tuned it carefully to match the rhythm of the signal. She held it up and switched it on. The device hummed, and lights blinked softly. The alien's clicks grew louder, uncertain. Myra pressed a button and spoke clearly. "We are not here to harm you." The device clicked and hummed, then repeated her words in a strange mechanical version of the alien's rhythm. The creature froze, its eyes widening. It clicked again, long and slow. The translator stuttered, then spoke in broken human words. "Help, needed, hurt." Myra's heart pounded. She had made contact. The being was asking for help. She stepped closer, keeping her hands open. "We will help," she said gently. The alien lowered its body slightly, as if relaxing. It pointed weakly toward another section of the ship. Myra followed its gesture and found two more figures lying on the floor. They were smaller, their shells cracked, their breathing faint. She knelt beside them and touched one carefully. The shell was cold, but the being still breathed. "They are dying," Myra whispered. Ryan crouched beside her, his fear slowly giving way to concern. "What can we do?" Myra looked at the broken machines around them. She had no medical supplies, but she could see that the ship itself had once been filled with life support systems. If she could restore power, maybe it could heal them. She turned to the first alien and asked through the translator, "How do we help?" The device hummed, then spoke back in broken words. "Power, need, repair." Myra nodded. She understood. She quickly opened her bag and pulled out tools. Ryan watched in silence, then began to help her hold wires and clear debris. For hours they worked, sweat dripping down their faces as they tried to connect broken systems. The alien watched weakly, clicking instructions when needed. At last, sparks flowed through the cables, and the walls lit more brightly. A faint hum filled the ship, steady and strong. The two smaller beings stirred, their breathing less shallow. The first alien lowered its head toward Myra, its black eyes fixed on her. The translator clicked, then spoke. "Gratitude, human, friend." Myra felt her chest tighten. All her life she had been rejected, her ideas dismissed. Yet here, in this broken ship, she had been heard. She had saved lives. For the first time, someone had called her friend. Myra and Ryan left the valley after sunset. The sky above glowed with stars, brighter than the colony lamps. Behind them, the alien ship hummed faintly with new life. The three beings inside were weak but alive. Myra promised she would return with food, water, and medicine. The tallest alien had lowered its head in a gesture of trust, and the translator had spoken one word clearly: friend. That single word stayed with her through the long walk back. Her heart burned with hope. For years, she had been dismissed and ignored. Now she carried proof greater than any machine she had built. There was life beyond the colony, and it was not hostile. It was in need. She imagined the council's faces when she told them the truth. Surely they would listen now. Surely they would see she had not been foolish. But as the colony walls came into sight, Ryan slowed his steps. His voice was low and uneasy. "Myra, are you certain you want to tell them?" She frowned. "Of course. This changes everything. We cannot keep it secret. They must help." Ryan's eyes shifted to the ground. The council fears what it does not control. What if they react with anger instead of aid? Myra shook her head, though doubt tugged at her thoughts. They will see reason. They have to. The aliens are not enemies. They are survivors, just like us. The guards let them pass through the gates without question. The colony was quiet, most workers already in their homes. Myra and Ryan walked quickly toward the hall. The large doors were closed, but light glowed from within. The council was meeting late into the night. Myra pushed the doors open and stepped inside. The elders sat at their long table, speaking in low voices. Darwin, tall and stern as always, turned sharply as Myra entered. His eyes narrowed at the sight of her dusty clothes and tired face. "What is this disturbance?" he demanded. Myra stood tall, clutching her notebook. "I bring news that will change the future of this colony. Beyond the cliffs, there is a ship. It is not human. Inside are living beings who need our help. I have spoken with them. They are intelligent. They are peaceful. We must act." The hall fell silent. For a moment, hope flickered in Myra's chest. Then the elders began to murmur, their voices rising like a wave of doubt. Darwin struck his hand against the table. "Enough of this madness. You dare come before us again with tales of fantasy. First your machines, now your aliens. How many times must we remind you that survival depends on discipline, not dreams?" Myra's cheeks burned. "This is not a dream. I have proof. They spoke through my translator. They are real. They will die without our aid." An elder woman leaned forward, her voice sharp. "Or perhaps they will kill us if we let them inside our walls." "Did you think of that, child?" "They are weak and injured," Myra argued. "They cannot harm us. They only need food and medicine." The council erupted in anger. Voices clashed, some filled with fear, others with scorn. Only Darwin remained calm, his eyes fixed on Myra with cold intensity. "You have broken the law," he said slowly. "You left the colony without permission. You used forbidden devices. Now you return with dangerous lies that could put every life here at risk. Do you understand what you have done?" Myra's voice wavered but did not break. "I understand that while you sit here in fear, others suffer and call for help. I will not ignore them, even if you will." Gasps filled the hall. No one spoke to the council in such a way. Darwin's face hardened. "Guards," he commanded. "Take her away. Her words are poison." The doors opened, and two guards stepped forward. Ryan quickly moved to Myra's side, his fists clenched. "She speaks the truth," he said firmly. "I was there. I saw them too." But his words did little to soften the council's judgment. One elder sneered, "Then you are as foolish as she is." The guard seized Myra's arms, pulling her back. Her notebook slipped from her hands and fell to the floor, pages scattering. She struggled, her voice echoing across the chamber. "Listen to me. They are real. They need us. If we turn away, we will regret it." But the elders turned their faces, cold and unmoved. The doors closed behind her once more, shutting her voice away. The guards dragged her to a small storage room at the edge of the hall and locked the door. The air was stale, the walls bare. Alone in the darkness, Myra sank to the floor. Tears stung her eyes, but anger burned stronger than sorrow. She had risked everything for the truth, and once again every door had been closed in her face. Hours passed. The colony outside grew quiet as the night deepened. Myra leaned against the wall, her mind racing. She thought of the aliens lying weak in their broken ship. She thought of the word the translator had spoken: friend. They had trusted her, and now she was trapped, powerless to return to them. At last the door creaked open. Ryan slipped inside, his face pale in the dim light. He held Myra's notebook in his hands. "I could not let them destroy it," he whispered. I told the guards I was ordered to clean the hall. They believed me. Myra stood quickly, relief flooding her chest. Ryan, thank you. He nodded. But you must leave the colony tonight. The council will not forgive you. They are already planning to send patrols to the valley. If they find the aliens first, they will not help them. They will destroy them. Myra's breath caught. She felt fear, but also resolve. Then I must reach them before the council does. Ryan pressed the notebook into her hands. You will not go alone. I am with you. For a moment, Myra stared at him. His eyes held no doubt, no fear of rejection. At last, someone believed in her without question. She nodded firmly. Together they slipped into the shadows of the colony and moved toward the gates. The guards dozed in the dim light of the towers, unaware of the two figures passing below. Beyond the walls, the desert stretched silent and endless. Myra tightened her grip on her notebook. The council had betrayed her. They had turned their backs not only on her but also on the chance to prove humanity's courage. But she would not stop. She would return to the valley, to the broken ship, to the beings who had trusted her. For the first time in her life, she no longer cared if every door in the colony was closed. She would find her own way. She would carve a new path where none existed. The night air outside the colony was cold, carrying the dry scent of dust and stone. Myra and Ryan moved quickly, their steps light as they crossed the open desert. The stars above glittered like silver fire, and the vast silence reminded them how small they truly were. Behind them, the colony walls grew smaller until they vanished into the darkness. Ahead lay the cliffs, the valley, and the broken ship waiting in silence. Myra's thoughts raced as she walked. The council's rejection had cut her deeply, but her anger only fueled her determination. The aliens were alive because of her, and now their survival depended on her return. She clutched her notebook tightly, the strange symbols inside like a bond between her and the voices from the stars. By the time the first sun began to rise, they reached the cliffs. Their climb was slower this time, their bodies weary, but determination pushed them forward. Dust clung to their faces, and their hands burned from sharp stones, yet they did not stop. At last they stood at the edge of the valley, staring down at the dark shape of the alien ship resting among the glowing plants. The sight of it filled Myra with both hope and fear. She hurried forward, Ryan close behind her. The entrance to the ship gaped open like a wounded mouth, faint light flickering from within. As they stepped inside, the cool air wrapped around them, and the familiar hum of broken systems echoed in their ears. The tallest alien waited near the wall, its black eyes dim but alert. It clicked softly when it saw them. Myra lifted her translator and spoke clearly. "We have returned. We promised help." The device hummed, then repeated her words in broken rhythm. The alien lowered its head in acknowledgement. It gestured weakly toward the two smaller beings who lay on the floor. Their breathing was shallow, their shells cracked. Myra rushed to their side, her chest tightening. "They are worse," she whispered. "We need to act now." Ryan crouched beside her. "But how?" The tall alien clicked again, its voice sharp and quick. The translator stuttered before producing words. "Medical, chamber, broken. Repair, not enough. Need, human, pattern." Myra's eyes widened. "Pattern?" she asked. The device translated again. "Your body, scan. Code of life. We heal, with you." She froze, her mind spinning. They were asking to use her biology as a guide, a template to repair their own damaged forms. It was not her life they wanted, but her living design. Even so, the risk was unknown. She could not be sure what effect it might have. Ryan placed a hand on her arm. His voice was tense. Myra, this is dangerous. You do not know what they will do. Myra looked down at the two smaller beings, their weak breaths growing fainter. She remembered the word the translator had spoken before, friend. They had trusted her when no one else had. Her voice trembled but carried firm resolve. If we do nothing, they will die. If my body scan can save them, then I will give it. Ryan's eyes filled with worry. You do not have to carry this burden alone. Myra shook her head. I was cast aside by my own people, but here I can make a difference. This is my choice. She turned to the alien and spoke clearly through the translator. Take my body pattern. Use it to heal your kind. The alien tilted its head, its black eyes reflecting faint light. Slowly it extended one of its long arms and gestured toward a machine at the far side of the chamber. Though cracked and dim, it still glowed faintly with energy. Myra stepped forward, her heart pounding. The machine was shaped like a frame, tall and curved, lined with glass and thin strands of light. She stepped inside, standing upright. A hum filled the air as the machine powered on. Beams of soft light scanned her body from head to toe, passing through her skin like warm air. She felt no pain, only a strange tingling deep inside her chest. Ryan stood at the edge of the frame, his fists clenched, ready to pull her out if something went wrong. Myra kept her eyes steady, refusing to flinch. The machine completed its work with a final hum, and the light faded. The tall alien clicked, its tone almost reverent. The translator spoke. Pattern, received. Healing, begins. Myra stepped out, her knees weak but her spirit strong. She turned to see the two smaller beings placed inside another chamber. Light flowed over them, weaving through their cracked shells. Slowly, their breathing steadied. Their bodies twitched with new strength. Ryan's jaw dropped. It is working. Myra's chest filled with relief. The two beings opened their eyes, dark and shining, and looked at her. They made soft clicking sounds, and the translator spoke faintly. Gratitude, life returned. Myra lowered her head slightly, overwhelmed. For the first time in her life, her existence had directly saved others. Her gift had not been dismissed or ridiculed. It had been needed, trusted, and honored. The tall alien stepped forward, its movements slow but steady. It clicked a long sequence of sounds. The translator processed them carefully before speaking. You gave part of yourself. We live because of you. We call you Bondkeeper. The word struck Myra deeply. Bondkeeper. A title of trust, perhaps even respect. Her hands trembled, not from fear but from the weight of meaning. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. You did it. You saved them. Myra shook her head softly. We did it. We all stood together. For a while, they remained inside the ship, watching as the aliens regained strength. The hum of the machines grew steadier. The air felt less heavy. Hope filled the broken vessel. Yet even in that moment of relief, Myra knew danger was not far. The council would not rest after her escape. They feared what they could not control, and fear could turn quickly into violence. If the colony discovered the valley, the aliens would face not aid but destruction. She turned to the tall alien and spoke. The council of my people will not help you. They may try to harm you. But I will protect you. I will find a way for us to live together. The translator repeated her words, and the alien lowered its head again, its black eyes steady. Human courage, it said. We trust. Myra felt a spark of pride, small but unshakable. She had been called a fool, a dreamer, an outcast. Yet here, among strangers from the stars, she had found her place. Not by obeying fear, but by choosing sacrifice. As the suns rose higher, filling the valley with light, Myra stood at the entrance of the ship with Ryan at her side. The air was heavy with silence, yet her heart felt lighter than ever. She had crossed a line from which she could never return. The valley lay in silence as the suns rose higher, casting long shadows over the alien ship. Myra stood at the entrance, her eyes on the horizon. Though the healing chamber inside still glowed faintly, and the once weak aliens now moved with new life, her thoughts were not calm. The Council's anger burned in her memory. They would not stay silent forever. Ryan joined her, his voice low. We bought them time, but I fear the colony will come for us soon. Myra nodded. I know. The Council does not forgive. They will say we betrayed them, and they will come armed. Inside the ship, the tall alien approached. Its black eyes studied the horizon as if sensing danger too. It clicked in sharp tones, and the translator spoke. Storm coming. Not of sky, but of people. Myra's chest tightened. Yes. My people fear what they do not understand. The alien tilted its head. Then we must prepare. We are weak still, but we will stand. The words surprised Myra. For the first time, she heard a hint of strength in the alien's voice. The smaller beings, now recovered, stood beside it. Their shells no longer cracked, their breathing steady. Their presence filled the chamber with quiet determination. Myra's mind raced. If they come, we cannot fight them with weapons. We must use something stronger. We must show them we are not enemies. Ryan frowned. You think words will stop soldiers? Myra turned to him, her voice steady. Not words alone. Proof. If the Council sees the aliens standing with us, not against us, they may hesitate. Ryan's doubt was clear, yet he did not argue. He had seen Myra's will carry them this far, and deep inside he trusted her more than his own fear. By the second sunset, their fears became truth. Across the desert, dust clouds rose, glowing red in the fading light. Dozens of vehicles approached, their engines loud and angry. Metal walls, weapons, and banners of the Council glinted under the twin suns. The colony was marching to the valley. The aliens grew tense, their dark eyes fixed on the growing storm of machines. Myra stood before them, her hands clenched into fists. You trusted me, she whispered. Now I will not let you fall. The tall alien clicked a phrase, the translator humming. Together. Ryan grabbed Myra's arm. If they see you with the aliens, they may shoot without warning. Myra's eyes blazed. Then let them see. I will not hide anymore. As the first of the Council's vehicles rolled into the valley, Myra stepped forward, out from the shadow of the ship. The ground shook beneath her boots, and dust swirled around her. She raised her hand high, signaling peace. Behind her, the aliens walked slowly into the light, their forms tall and strange, yet calm. The glow of the healing chamber still shone faintly on their shells, a sign of life reborn. The colony soldiers stopped, their weapons pointed, their eyes wide. The Council leader stood atop the lead vehicle, his face twisted with both anger and fear. his voice boomed across the valley. Myra of the colony. You defy us again. Step away from those creatures at once. Myra's heart pounded, but her voice did not shake. I will not. They are not enemies. They are alive because of us. They are friends. Her words carried across the silence, but the soldiers did not lower their weapons. The leader sneered. Friends, they are monsters from the sky. They will bring ruin. Step aside, or you will be cast out forever. Myra's fists clenched. You already cast me out. Yet here I stand, and here they stand. We do not come with war. We come with trust. At her side, the tall alien raised one long arm slowly, palm open. It made a low clicking sound, and the translator repeated, We seek no harm. Human saved us. We honor human bond. Gasps spread among the soldiers. They had expected silence or violence, not words. Some lowered their weapons slightly, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. The leader shouted, his voice sharp. Do not listen. It is trickery. Fire, before it is too late. But before any shot could be fired, the ground itself shook. A distant roar filled the air. From the far side of the desert, another dust cloud rose, larger and faster than the first. Strange lights flickered inside it, not from human engines, but from alien craft. Ryan's face paled. Another ship. But not theirs. Someone else is coming. The tall alien's eyes widened. It clicked rapidly, its tone urgent. The translator spoke with broken words. Hunters. Enemies of our kind. They follow us. Myra's breath caught. They were not just escaping the stars. They were fleeing from war. The colony soldiers shifted nervously, their eyes now darting between Myra, the aliens, and the growing storm on the horizon. The council leader's face drained of color, his anger cracking into fear. What is that? Myra turned to him, her voice sharp and steady. That is the true enemy. Not these beings who stand beside me, but those who come now. If we fight each other, we all fall. If we stand together, we may survive. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the rumble of the approaching craft. The soldiers looked to their leader, but doubt had already taken root. None of them wanted to face the unknown alone. The tall alien stepped forward, its shadow long in the dying light. It raised both arms wide, its voice clear through the translator. Human and us. Together strong. Alone broken. The words rang through the valley like a challenge. Myra stood at its side, her face glowing with determination. Ryan stepped beside her, his voice loud enough for the soldiers to hear. She is right. The enemy is not here. The enemy comes from beyond. At last, one soldier lowered his weapon fully. Then another. The tension cracked like glass, and the line of guns softened. Yet the leader still held his ground, his pride a wall against reason. Myra pointed to the horizon, where strange shapes now pierced the sky, their wings burning with fire. Decide now. Will you destroy your own, or will you fight the true enemy with us? The leader said nothing, his face torn between fear and pride. But the soldiers no longer waited for him. They began to form a defensive line, their vehicles turning not toward Myra but toward the new threat. The valley became a place of uneasy unity, human and alien standing side by side. Weapons hummed, engines roared, and the sky burned brighter as the enemy craft descended. Myra's heart thundered in her chest. She had been rejected, cast aside, mocked for her dreams. Yet now she stood at the center of something greater than any council could control. She was no longer just a voice in the dark. She was the bondkeeper, the bridge between worlds. And as the enemy ships broke through the clouds, Myra lifted her voice, loud and unshaken. "We fight together." The valley answered with the roar of engines and the hum of alien power, a chorus of defiance against the storm that was coming. The enemy ships descended rapidly, their shapes sharp against the bright sky. They moved with precision, scanning the valley for life. Myra stood at the front, the tall alien beside her and Ryan just behind. The humans and aliens were lined together, a strange but united force. Dust and wind swirled around them, carrying the scent of hot metal and dry earth. Myra lifted her voice, calm but commanding. "Hold your positions. Watch their movements. We will protect the valley and each other." The tall alien clicked, and the translator repeated its words. "Together strong. We protect life." The first of the enemy ships fired. Bright beams cut through the sky, striking the ground. Rocks exploded, and sand leapt into the air. Soldiers ducked behind their vehicles while the aliens lowered their arms, generating fields of energy that shielded the weaker ones. Myra watched carefully, giving instructions through the translator and hand signals. Ryan crouched beside her. "They are faster than anything we have seen before, I know," Myra replied. "But speed does not mean courage. They will not break us if we stand together." The valley erupted into movement. Humans advanced in formation, firing defensive beams. The aliens moved in unison, weaving strange energy patterns that disrupted the enemy ships. The tall alien guided the smaller ones, using their long arms to direct energy strikes. Myra ran along the line, helping where she could, repairing shields, guiding soldiers, and keeping morale high. One enemy ship dove directly toward the alien ship. Its aim was precise, meant to destroy the life inside. Myra's heart pounded. She sprinted forward with Ryan at her side. "Focus your shields now," she shouted. The aliens obeyed instantly. Energy shields flared, absorbing the attack. Sparks flew, lighting the valley like lightning. The enemy ship faltered, slowed, and then was pushed back by combined human and alien force. Myra's chest swelled with relief. Together, they had held the first strike. Hours passed, the battle continuing without pause. Myra's voice rang across the valley, steady and strong, guiding humans and aliens alike. The Council's soldiers, once doubtful and afraid, now followed her lead. The ones who had mocked her before now looked to her as a leader. She did not boast, she only acted, her courage clear in every step. Ryan stood beside her, wide-eyed but determined. "Myra, they are listening. They are fighting like one team," she nodded, her eyes fixed on the sky. "Yes. We are stronger together than alone. Remember that." The enemy ships tried another tactic. They split into smaller groups, hoping to confuse the defenders. Myra anticipated the move. "Divide our forces to match them, but stay in communication. Trust each other." The aliens clicked in response, coordinating with humans for the first time. Their energy beams cut through the enemy ranks with precision. The soldiers adapted quickly, learning to rely on the aliens' guidance. Myra ran between them, giving encouragement and fixing broken shields. Her mind was sharp despite exhaustion. She saw weaknesses, predicted movements, and kept the defenders working as one. By mid-afternoon, the enemy ships began to falter. One after another, they were pushed back by the combined strength of humans and aliens. Sparks and smoke filled the valley as the last ship tried a final attack, aiming directly at the tall alien. Myra shouted a warning. "Protect them. Now." The alien raised its arms and a bright shield erupted, glowing like the suns above. The energy struck the enemy ship, sending it spinning away in flames. The valley fell silent for a moment, then cheers rose from humans and aliens alike. Myra sank to her knees, her chest heaving with exhaustion. Ryan knelt beside her, smiling. The tall alien approached, its black eyes steady and calm. It clicked softly, and the translator spoke slowly. "Human courage saved us all. You gave more than life. You gave trust, hope, and guidance. We honor you." Myra felt tears sting her eyes. She had been mocked, ignored, and cast aside by her own people, yet here she stood, recognized for her courage and wisdom. She touched the alien's arm gently. "We did it together. You trusted me, and I trusted you." The smaller aliens stepped forward, their bodies shining with renewed strength. They clicked softly in their voices, and the translator repeated. "Bondkeeper. Protector of life. Human true." Myra smiled faintly, overwhelmed by the weight of the words. She had found her place not through obedience, not through titles, but through action. She had chosen to help when others turned away. She had chosen courage over fear. Ryan laughed softly. "You were never a fool, Myra. You were the reason we survived." Myra looked at him and shook her head. "We survived because we chose to trust. That is the lesson. Courage is not alone. It is together." The sun dipped low again, painting the valley in gold. The enemy ships had retreated, leaving the humans and aliens victorious. The council soldiers now approached Myra with cautious respect. Their eyes no longer held doubt or fear, only acknowledgement. Darwin stepped forward, his face pale but controlled. "You acted beyond reason," he said slowly. "And yet, you were correct. You have saved the colony and more." Myra met his eyes. "I acted because it was right, not because of recognition. The doors may have been shut, but there is always a way to open a new path." The council nodded, some ashamed, some humbled. Myra knew she could not change their fear completely, but she had shown that humanity's courage was more powerful than doubt. As night fell, the aliens prepared to leave. Their repaired ship glowed faintly, engines humming quietly. Myra, Ryan, and the aliens stood together at the edge of the valley. The tall alien clicked once more. The translator repeated. "Human courage lives in Bondkeeper. You are our friend, always. We return to stars, but we carry humanity in our hearts." Myra stepped forward, placing a hand gently on the alien's arm. "Go safely. Remember the choice to trust. Remember that courage is not only in battle, but in the heart." The ship rose slowly, its form glowing against the night sky. The smaller aliens waved their limbs in farewell. Myra and Ryan watched until the ship disappeared among the stars, leaving only the hum of energy and the warm glow of victory. In the valley, humans and aliens had stood together and survived. Myra's name would be remembered as the one who bridged worlds, the bondkeeper who chose courage, trust, and compassion over fear. She had been cast aside by many, but she had risen to lead when it mattered most. Ryan turned to her, smiling. "The council may never understand fully, but they will never forget you. Neither will I." Myra smiled back, feeling a quiet strength within her. "Then it is enough. We have shown that humanity can rise beyond fear, beyond doubt, and beyond itself. That is our true strength. The valley grew quiet under the twin moons, the wind carrying whispers of hope across the land. Myra stood tall, knowing the future was wide open, and humanity had taken its place among the stars.